Hi, this is Tanya from You and Your Witchy Stuff. If you're new to my channel, welcome and thanks for tuning in. If you are returning or a subscriber, thank you very much, as it's much appreciated. I hope this finds you all well. I'm filming this on a Saturday morning. It's still a bit cold, but hopefully looking promising as the snow is melting here in central New York State, and we're supposed to be moving towards the warmth again, which I love. Um, I am a summer and fall type of person. So with that, if you hear any humming in the background, it is because I am in my witchy room, my altar room, so to say, but it is cold and cold and poorly insulated as it is my sun porch. So with that being said, come and join a um, wow. And I don't edit my videos. But yeah, if you watch any of my previous ones, you know that eventually I probably will if I do decide to keep filming. But again, I'm in my, what I call my evaluation period now. What works for me and my path. So with that being said, please come in. This is going to be a bit longer. Well, knowing me, but grab yourself a tea, coffee, or beverage. Sit back, light that incense, and get chill. I'm going to be drinking my mint medley tea, which is a combination of spearmint and peppermint tea by Bigelow. And of course, look at my cute mug I got for Valentine's Day from my sister, as Don't Ghost Me. So this video is going to be a video showing for March. I know today's April 6th, but it is for my March wrap-up. Now, if you've watched any of my previous videos, I did videos that had to do, I'm just making sure I'm filming. Okay, I did my monthly themes, again, thanks for being with me. But I did monthly themes this year. I'm choosing to do for myself in my daily draws or guidance overall and advisement to help me to use my decks on more of a rotational value, the ones that I actually work with or have not really worked with or infrequently, and to go with certain energies or indicators to see what works, what doesn't, what has changed, and just become more appreciative and mindful, especially in my practice, as I am obviously big in divination, which I am very big into channeling, psychic, predictive. I work with spirits a lot, and of course, energetic witch. So with that being said, I'm big on guidance. I'm big with working with my spirits. I'm big with working with the deities that walk the path with me, that are trying to lift me up or advise me, give me warning, forewarning, advisement, lifting me up, or things I should be doing or making aware. Not should have as in forcing me, but as in, hey, pay attention. This is what you should be aware of. This is what you need to work on. This is what's going to help you. Hey, laugh and smile today. Something like that. Or be mindful that someone might be screwing around with you. So this month's monthly theme, it was, and if you don't like probably darker decks leaning in a left-hand path, nudity, things mentioned that had to do with like potentially Lilith or maybe darker things on that darker magic, or just energies or aesthetic for that matter, because it's not everybody's cup of tea, as we said, or glass of wine. So with that being said, if you don't like that stuff, it triggers you, tune out now. If you are like me, that's into very diverse things, likes to try to give it a try, open-minded, constantly evolving and growing, as our path is constantly growing in life for each of us, no matter what our practice is, then stay tuned in, because my theme, as they are going by songs or song lyrics every month for March, was Sympathy for the Devil. Now, what that meant for me is not devil decks. I don't work with Satan or the devil, the known devil himself. I do work with many of the Greek underworld gods, held from, of course, the Norse, um, the Norse region, of course, of Europe, and I do work with newer things that are kind of stepping in or clarifying what they were. And I have started working with Venus consciously, but I have found out throughout my major path working that Venus has been there for quite a while. As have other things that I just kind of misinterpreted. But again, this is not thoroughly about my practice, but about the decks I have used that have guided me in my practice and how I use them. And so with Sympathy for the Devil, of course, I look at that like this is the Rolling Stones version, not the Guns N' Roses, which I love Guns N' Roses. They're one of my top bands. But this is from the actual Guns N' Roses. So with the Guns N' Roses, with the Rolling Stones version, but the Guns N' Roses being the cover version from the 90s, is Pleased to Meet You. Won't you guess my name? And then, so I picked, because the song is kind of dark and kind of playful and deviant, I picked decks that have opulence to them, kind of like that go along with that aesthetic. Opulence meaning they have beautiful cardstock, a beautiful finish, either the artwork or the photography is beautiful. They are very evocative, provocative, and speak to lust, the underworld, that which lies beneath the intuitive, moon-like energies, fire energies. So with that being said, I got a bunch of tarot decks here and 2 oracles. Some of these, if you watch any of my videos previously, these are not a surprise. Some of these, or overall, or maybe the reason why I chose them, but this is again why I chose them. On that, again, I'm still filming. I don't want to do what I did at one point not long ago where I was like 25 minutes in it and I didn't even realize I was not filming. So yeah, not a happy camper there. So first deck here, why is this upside down? Okay, and well, they're all over the place, but we'll just go through a couple. This was in my recent, I did actually the second to last video, which is the Sabbath Tarot. Again, warning, this is nudity, a lot of male nudity, female nudity, male presenting deck, left hand path, and empowering and fiery deck. Very underworldly, very dark, gorgeous, and very much witch type of deck. So again, if that's not your type of thing, turn off now or turn back. So this deck, of course, on here is, for me, the very, as I mentioned in my review, if you want to go back and check that, is a deck that has to do with and honors the divine masculine. There's not enough of that out in the tarot or even oracle world. And if so, it's still a bit cheesy in my opinion. I work with both the divine masculine and divine feminine, more towards the divine feminine, but a lot of male on this. Life is a balance of that, of the divine masculine and the divine feminine. That which is the male, is the right male energy lifts up a woman, a right woman lifts up a male's energy. So this being said, look at that. That's one of my favorite cards on there, of course. This deck is very, the cardstock is luscious. It is one of my favorites and most best decks. It's by Alan Spears. You can find it on Attend the Sabbath. So this I used, of course, a lot with Hades. Hades is kind of stepping back for me at this point. Doesn't mean I still don't respect him, revere him, or, of course, show him reverence. But he's stepping back, but something else is stepping in to work with them. Maybe you can guess, maybe you can't guess. That's fine. When I know more of my path working, or such and do my own research and study and how things work for me, then I will perhaps mention that. If you're looking for a deck that is very honest, truthful, has a great guidebook, like a great paragraph on it, but it's definitely something, if you're looking for something that ignites your fire, lights a light under your ass, and gives you magic, this is the deck for you. It's worth the investment. This is the travel edition. So with that, again, this is the Sabbath Tarot by Alan Spears. Check out Attend the Sabbath. I use this with Hades. I use this with a lot of my big choices I've had and dilemmas. And it's also considered one of my comfort decks of that. And of course, guiding me through to more of my lifting myself up on my left hand, going more towards the left hand path. As I mentioned earlier in previous videos, my path is swaying, like most people on that, the crooked path. So that is the Sabbath Tarot. So let me get that out of the way before I don't lose or destroy this deck, as it is definitely in my top 5, and I can't live without it. It is a ride or die. For me as a witch and in my practice, and of course just in my mundane daily life overall. So that's deck 1. That deck is not going to be a surprise. I'm just going to go with this one quick because I did the Sabbath first, because I did a review to check that out. The Crawley Sauce by Lady Frida Harris with the artwork and Crawley. Now this deck is, of course, not this version exactly, my main version that I've had for almost 30 years, and my first deck I actually ever purchased and owned is in retirement. I use it for myself now, but she's seen better days, but I love her and my bond. This one is a version I trimmed, I modded on it. Not the best mod version, but it's mine. It's beautiful, and this deck actually did not need borders, so it took away. The more I work with this, I love this. Well, I always love this deck, but each time I work with it and pull it up, I love it more and more. And because it falls under that, a lot of people find this deck and are either turned off from it. I find that they fear the deck. It's too intense for me. It's a love affair. An ever-growing love affair that will never stop. But this is one of the most honest, spiritual, and very versatile decks. As it's very high magic. You can use it for in your spells, your path working, your guidance, your archetypes. There's like sigils in it, symbols. It is a deck that is amazing. And due to Crowley, and I call this Thoth, some people call it Toth, but yeah, I'm a Thoth girl. That's how I use it. Got this card a lot in March, the Two of Swords. One of my favorite Two of Swords. That's one of the types of cards I look for in any deck when I'm purchasing for my collection or my use, is the Two of Swords. I love the Justice card, of course, or adjustments in this deck, of course, in the Thoth base system. Crowley was a very controversial, very just evil sort of man. Did a lot of fucked up stuff. However, he was very intelligent, contributed a lot to the magical world and magic workings and different developments. And in this case, he is a man behind helping to assist and create this deck. Lady Frida Harris just manifested or created what he actually had envisioned and in mind for his deck and his workings, and this deck is my guide, my tool. She works for me, and again, works and assists me in being the best version of myself as a woman, witch and spiritual being. And again, if you want a deck that never fails you, didn't fail me, never fails me, even if I don't pick her up for months at a time, but I've never gone long periods without her. So with that being said, that is of course the Thoth deck. It was chosen because it is an opulent, very detailed, very colorful deck on it with amazing thought, detail, articulation to it, and intellect, magic, and power. So that's why I chose this deck to fall into that, and of course Crowley being the beast, the self-proclaimed beast, and was also potentially into, or as they say, into worshiping the devil, certain type of orgies and such on it. This deck, of course, is why it falls under that category, of course, one of the main ones. This falls under many categories for me. So yes, and that's my favorite death card. That one, and of course from the Sabbath, my two favorite death cards in all the decks I have or have seen. I'm sure that there's others. Actually, if I think about it, The Witch's Tarot 2 by Burning Paper Hearts, Chris Madsen. But that's for another day because that deck will fall in a different month and falls under my new moons as Hecate. It's my Hecate deck, and she is my main new moon reading and advisement deck for Hecate and for the Divine Feminine. I just had to bring that up too. The Devil. I love that one. Okay. And a very, again, beautiful, luscious Luxus deck. If you haven't used it and you're on the fence, I say, what the hell, give it a chance. It's mass market, so it's not like you're getting indie. And if it's not yours, you can certainly resell it or whatever purpose you choose to work with, as any tarot deck is for any purpose one chooses to work with. On that, I'm just putting it behind me because, of course, I don't want to destroy my decks. And with that being said, next one I'm going to do, almost 20 already. Okay, deck 3. This is the Night Sun Tarot, or Tarot of the Night Sun. This is by Fabio Lastrani. I am a fan of his decks. I have the Goetia Tarot, I have the mass market version, and I got the indie version, the Kickstart one, because the guidebook, in my opinion, for the mass market one was sadly lacking on that. And I am studying and have been starting to start working with the Goetia and studying it, the Goetic demons, on that end as archetypes and guides to assist me on my path working. And so I've been using that. I have not gotten Notoria yet. The angelic thing, I don't know about that. We'll see. Again, I'm constant evolving being, as most of us are. So my path and what I work with steps in and out often, or as I age and evolve. So this deck here is very esoteric. It is basically of the Thoth system, just like the Crowley Thoth, the system he invented on that. This deck is beautiful. This is very underworld for me. This is like underworld beings when you are journeying or you're in the astral realm or working with that. This is what this deck is for. It has a very 90s feel to me, which is when I grew up as when I was a teenager, should I say. The colors in this deck are amazing. Only complaint I have for this guidebook is a cute little white book, but it's enough to jump off with for journaling or working with, or to give you an idea. It's good, though, to have a general foundation of the Thoth deck or tarot overall. I probably would not recommend it for beginners. This is, of course, a darker aesthetic deck, of course, too. If it triggers you, well, I already warned you that my decks are often triggering. So the only complaint, as mentioning, that I honestly have with this deck is that you can barely look. I have to put it right up to the actual name of the card. So that's why one of the many reasons I do not suggest this for beginners. Or I don't use this one. I just got this not long ago because I've had it on my list for a while and I finally pulled the trigger. But I actually do not recommend this for beginners unless you have a decent foundation. Or if you're like me, when I started, I just jumped right into the sauce. I didn't know the difference, but maybe that is sometimes a good way to go. But I always find it best to use your resources and do some investigation and not completely like fuck around and find out. Do a fuck around and find out, but in an informative way. So this deck, as I mentioned, this Hades does work and speaks through this deck very well, as does anything with the underworld. This deck is very honest, very clear and concise, but very spiritual. I have yet to work with it quite often, but I did use it for daily draws. I don't know if I'll ever use this for clients or not. I would have to see as I grow and understand this deck itself, and how she feels for others. She's a very fiery deck, meaning just like the Sabbath, fire. Now, I'm a Capricorn, and that, but I'm ruled by my Cancer moon in a lot of ways. So the water, because of course being an intuitive and such, and an empath, and one of my gifts and one of my hindrances in many ways, of course, very watery energy I have. So I kind of been lacking in fire for many years. If you watch my videos on my journey with pride, for the which is Black Lent, which ended not too long ago, then you'll see I kind of was lacking, well, more than kind of lacking in fire. The Sabbath Tarot, that challenge and such, have helped me to start moving forward with what I've already been trying to work on for a while. So with that being said, again, this is by Fabio Lastrani. It's a mass market deck. So again, if you're on the fence about this one, it's not an indie or high investment deck. Oh my. The Tower, my frenemy, if you watch any of my previous videos. So yes, I'm not going to go through this. It's not a full walkthrough or flip through. Just showing you what I'm working with and why I chose that. That's very underworld, of course, of very dark beings, but the artwork is intense, the beauty, the fire, so that's why I chose it for Sympathy for the Devil, or of course the different meanings and lyrics in that song, or what is implied. So let me put that behind here, and I may eventually do a review or how I further work with that down the road as I get more into using that. Now next, these decks tend to go in tandem with one another. These were not used so much. One is actually not very, leans in the direction of the other ones that I have shown so far. It actually basically is a botanical deck. It does not follow. It has a very small little pamphlet guidebook with like a little poem line on it. At first, that kind of turned me off, but as I built a relationship on and off with this deck, not needed. And when this deck is used with the right oracle or companion, she definitely speaks up. Also, this deck is not for a beginner or someone that's not well versed in the tarot systems, or someone that likes structure or preconceived notions. This does not follow the traditional RWS system, the thought system. She has her own. When you throw those out the windows, you see that this deck is actually very quite insightful. Now, the reason I chose this is it is very beautiful. I mean, look at that antique like edging there. And look at the backing. The cardstock on this deck is amazing. It's by Lila and Olive. It is Ophidia Rosa. It's got, and I chose it too because it's got serpents is one of the main themes in it. But it's botanical. This deck speaks very of the dark Venus energies. Her darker, lustful, but beautiful energies, guidance, with healing, but intense, but lust also, and self-love and the divine feminine. But it also has Lilith energies and Hecate. Now, I don't work with Lilith a lot, but I've done some research and I do feel her presence, as I do many other spirits. So, this deck I use, and I do use this for reading for for clients, like my collective weekly readings, which I will be doing tomorrow's. Not with this deck, though. Probably Murder of Crows again. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see what steps up. But this is up to very divine feminine and again shines. There's not enough on this deck, honestly, out there, in my opinion. There's videos you can find, but a lot of them are just like the basic botanical. I use as a botanical deck, or I don't know how to use this deck, but I have it in my collection. It's beautiful. Often when I get a deck and I'm attracted to it and I do my research, I watch videos or do some research to see if I want to invest or how it might work with me. I may not know how it will work with me. And usually I'll do a quick interview with my decks to see how they will work with me or want to work with me and be my tool, my aid, and how our relationship will be. Now, does that mean that's necessarily how that will be? From the beginning, that's how we start off. And then, of course, as we build a bond, or as things I change, or the energy of the deck changes, then, of course, that may change. I got this primarily because it was just a beautiful deck, and, of course, for the serpents. I work with a lot of serpentine energy. So this deck I use in conjunction, as I mentioned. I use this with Tarot of Shadows. Now, Tarot of Shadows I'll be showing you next, real quick. That has to do with the, it is an indie deck. It's a bit investment. I got it for Christmas for my husband. You can get it on Amazon. The creator's from the Ukraine. I don't have the pamphlet in front of me right now, so I don't know who the creator is, but you can find Tarot of Shadows on Amazon. I think it went for like $50 at the time. I'm sure it went more because of inflation and all that fucking stuff. But yeah. So I used it in with this deck, and it was a great companion. Now, the Tarot of Shadows I'm going to show you, it goes by, the cards that show are by tarot numbers, but it's not necessarily a tarot deck. Is definitely more of an oracle deck. The guidebook's great. It's a small hardcover little book on it. The creator, the box sucks. I'm gonna put that out there. It really does. It's cardboard. I have that put away. No big deal. But that one, for the Tarot Shadows that I'm showing next, the guidebook's great. Do not go into it using, with this deck, I'm showing that, do not go into it with a preconceived notion of RWS, Thoth, or any system. She has her own system. It is a very beautiful deck. I mean, look at this, of course. Hello, dark presenting, but it's beautiful. Like, it's got, you can't see in this light, but it's got a beautiful, you might be able to see a little bit of sheen to it. And the color, it's a beautiful kind of, I might as well just start showing you the deck. Has a beautiful, that's the color palette of it. I love the border. The more and more I work with this deck, the more it grows on me. I was eyeing it for probably a year and a half, but I got it for Christmas. My husband gave it to me as an early Christmas present because my fucking issues have been here for a while. My tower moments, as I mentioned. So this is, it has like archetypes. It's a very, to it, like Hecate, Lilith, Lucifer, for example, Satan, to it, the three fates. It is a very occult-like deck. The guidebook has the meaning, like a little couple sentences on the actual divination meaning of it. However, it has a lot to do with either the folklore, where it was derived from the origin of the archetype, the being, the tool, the magic. I use this one for guidance for myself. I'll never use this for clients unless they, of course, are a fellow practitioner of some sort, or if they requested on that. But most people I read for would not work with a deck with this, or would not want to, or would be appealed by it. This aids it really well in magical practice or guidance from you. If you have a question on maybe as an additional tool, what way to lean on something, this deck also is for that. Again, Tarot of Shadows. And again, it's very dark, but in a very beautiful, lustful way. People think, oh, dark's fucking scary. No. When they think of that stuff. That's not the way it is. Lust. But beauty. So I use those two, as I mentioned, in conjunction with each other, and they both was a beautiful marriage or relationship. I have not used this one with other decks. I have yet to probably do so. I probably will try this with maybe Queen Mab Oracle, or with maybe the Witch's Tarot. I will have to see. So yes, so I chose that for obvious reasons, for the occult, the dark reasons on it, well, or should I say the more lustful reason. And this cardstock on this is lovely also, so for that, for the fact of the, basically the opulence, the high quality of it, the intellect of it, the storyline behind it, and how it fits in my practice, and has that very intriguing, very compelling drawing energy, like the sun does. The mystery. So with that being said, that's the tarot I've used. I've used, this is, you'll see this in my weekly readings. I'm just going to show this quick also. The Haunted Manor Oracle by Syrian Shadows. This is everything. This, since I got it in March, has been my most used Oracle deck, and my now is probably in my top, if not my top one. I love this with everything. I mean, look at that. And the cardstock's amazing. It has amazing imagery. Now, it is an indie deck. It's not mass market. I have not saw it on Amazon yet. I was looking last night as my sister, who's is a little bit into the tarot, but she in oracles, but she loves like the Gothic aesthetic more so. So I wanted to show her it more in detail and where to purchase it if she ever was interested in it. And yeah, at least on Etsy, it's sold out. Maybe it can be found on another site. But again, an indie deck. This is supposed to be a shadow deck. For me, it's just a multi-purpose. It's a great clarifier to almost any tarot deck I've used it for. Of course, I've been using it this month with Murder Crows in April, but last month I used it with almost every deck I've shown there. I work with it without the keywords and with the keywords only and not the guidebook, or also the guidebook is amazing. The guidebook is, in my opinion, amazing and lovely and very valid to use with the deck, especially when you're using it for yourself more so than others, because basically it's very insightful. A lot to do with why you're feeling and what lies beneath and what maybe actions you should be taking or facing or ignoring. Well, kind of like the shadow aspect, but not necessarily 100%. Guidebook also, because it was so spot on with my journeying. It's been all over the place, and my emotions been all over the place, trying to find a job and getting rejected and struggles, trying to reclaim my pride and my power and be proud of myself when people keep knocking me down. A lot of people in life, or many people, are just assholes, or they don't think before they speak. Maybe a little filtering would be nice at points. Maybe a little consideration, even if you mean well. Think about the person. You don't know what they're feeling or thinking on it just because of maybe the way they look. That's all I'm going to put on. It's a rant. It is directed to someone that would never watch YouTube, and it's not meant to be, because I love them very much and they meant well. But when you're working on pride so much, on healing yourself and empowering and lifting yourself up, it's easy to get your ass fucking knocked down. And then, of course, you start judging yourself and things. But with that, of course, you can watch my pride videos. This is more about tarot. The world's just a mean place. There's many mean people. There's many great people, too. But things shouldn't be judged on beauty or aesthetic alone, or on first impressions, or the book's cover, so to say. So with that being said, this deck is a great companion. We don't want to get on my depression and my rants. So this deck is amazing. Like I said, this is one of the best. I would buy this deck. I want to get a backup copy, obviously, when I get a job and such, just like I do of the Sabbath Tarot. That's how valuable they are to me. And you can find lots of flip throughs, and you can check Racine's video out from OwlMoon513. She is amazing. She is one of my ones I kind of very highly respect. A lot of her decks, or a lot of decks I have learned from her showing and her practice. She's a great reader. I've purchased readings from her before. And of course from the Tarot Shrink, she has this too, and I love the Tarot Shrink. She's just very intellectual, but very fun, very straight talking, and yeah. So I love her too. So check out those two channels. Just recommendations from someone that enjoys those. And of course, lastly, I'm going to wrap this up because we're going towards 40 minutes. And try to keep this under 45. But it is what it is. Queen Mab. I worked with this back in February, and it was in my February wrap-up. But, of course, for obvious reasons, this is very dark palette. There is nudity also in this deck. Queen Mab, it's a fairy-based deck and got mermaids and other things. It's not. It's very dark, divine, feminine, beautiful. Very Hecate in her dark, divine, feminine, beautiful nature underneath. She's not just the death goddess or of the underworld. She's not just the queen of the witches. This is very witchy. So it's more of a witchcraft leaning, in my opinion. So she's not just that. She's got like 100 different epithets, and I work with many of them in many different facets of it. She is my patron goddess. But this one is great. This one does work with tarot very well, especially like the Thoth it likes. I've used it with a Thoth quite often last month in March. I have used it with other decks. I kind of use it with other oracles more so. In this case, like the Hecatean Oracle I use it with. I have used it with the Witch's Tarot. I have used it once or twice with the Sabbath Tarot. So yes, I guess pretty versatile. But this one has a very dark Venetian energy for Venus of hers. Like I said, the lust. Lust is a big one for this, of course, for obvious reasons. I've said that many times in this video. It's very dark, divine, feminine, empowering. Guidebook's great. One of my favorite cards. I've gotten it quite a lot in March. Prevalent. I'm still using this deck this month in April. So it'll be in my April wrap-up. She's hard-hitting. She's beautiful. She's honest. She is like that dark, forced, beautiful witch. One in the dark, like you see in the horror movies, which we all know I'm a huge fan of. She's the one you would see in that, the one that the villagers fear, the dark divine spirit that comes at night that's beautiful, kind of like the succubus. Not that I work with those types of energies with the succubus, but just saying, it's got very Lilith types of vibes to it. So if you're on the fence about this one, and you want a all-purpose great oracle, especially that is witchcraft leaning on it or archetypal, I definitely recommend this deck. Or if you're working with Hecate, you're working with Venus especially, or Lilith for that matter, or you just want something to lift you up as a woman, or if you identify as a woman. And with that being said, I'll show the last one here. I thank you as always for watching my channel and going through my rumblings and my cards, my practice with that. And I do hope this all finds you all well. On it, you'll please tune in tomorrow for my weekly reading for the week of April 7th. Should be Monday's a major solar full total solar eclipse on the new moon. I work with new moon energies. That's a staple in my foundation in my practice. So luckily, the one good thing about being unemployed is I can do magic if I want to, and it's going to be a powerhouse. But tune in tomorrow. We'll see what the cards have to say about that and what the guides and messages have for the collective. And with that all, blessed be. Have a good rest of your day.